Texas Motor Speedway, Sunday night. Carl Edwards did it again. Carl Edwards made him look silly. Did it just like he did at California, just like he did it at Atlanta, just like he did it at Las Vegas. This time, of course, the oil tank cooler lid was on. He made a point of that. And he won. Won big, going away. Texas Motor Speedway, and he was in the world by himself. Jimmie Johnson did finish second, so that work he's done, that overtime work, that extra homework he's been doing the last couple of weeks has paid off, but not enough. And Carl Edwards was the only guy who wasn't complaining about this new winged car, this car tomorrow. Goodyear, they were all smiles. Tires worked great, no problem at all. They were still a little sheepish about the Atlanta operation, but these tires, not a worry up and down pit road. Everything came out really smoothly. But for some of the biggest names in the sport, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, bad day, very bad day. Jeff Gordon, for only the second time in his career, finished dead last. He had a car so bad, handled so badly, that he crashed by himself. He pulled into the garage and told crew chief Steve Letarte, "Give me something. Change 4 springs." He went back out, ran another couple of laps, and said, "Nah, we ain't going nowhere with this thing." Pulled it in and parked it. Greg Biffle, some kind of electrical problem. And Carl Edwards said he was a little nervous Sunday morning when crew chief Chris Andrews, who is substituting for Bob Osborne, the regular crew chief, is on suspension right now for that oil tank, whatever that was, at Las Vegas, told him there might be a problem with the engine. Jack had to talk Carl out of wanting to change engines. And since Carl did blow up in Atlanta, he was a little skittish about the whole thing. But he drove like a charm. Led 135 laps, far more than anybody else. Disappointments, Jeff Gordon, teammate Dale Jr. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was on the pole, led the first 31 laps or so, and his car just went out the window. Couldn't handle, couldn't do anything. He finished 12th. It was a bad day for the boy. He thought he had a chance to get that first win since 2006. Tony Urias Jr., his crew chief, said he was a little worried going into the race, and he had right to be. They didn't have anything going for him. People were complaining about the car tomorrow. Kurt Busch didn't do anything. A lot of guys didn't do anything on the Dodge front. Ryan Newman did finish 4th in that furious scramble. It was a green-white checkered finish after a blown engine in Martin Truex Jr.'s car bunched up the field with about 5 laps to go. Even with 2 laps to go in the sprint out, nobody had anything for Carl Edwards. Even Jimmie Johnson couldn't catch him on a restart. Won by 7 lengths, and Kyle Busch was 3rd. So that was Ford winning, Chevy 2nd, Toyota 3rd, Ryan Newman and a Dodge 4th. But Ryan's car was a little high. After the race in NASCAR post-race inspection, they said they'll probably have to do something about that later on this week. They don't look kindly on issues like that, but they don't resolve them at the racetrack. Other than that, we've got to look at Chip Ganassi's operation. Dario Franchitti didn't make the field, had to go home, and Chip is not happy. He made it sound like some heads are going to roll, and I wouldn't doubt it. They just haven't had a lot of punch. Montoya did okay, but he's a 15th place car right now on the tour, and he's a much better driver than that. Donnie Wingo's done the best with what he has, but the Ganassi operation is like 3 separate teams. They're not one team. Look for something to happen over there, and quickly. Jimmie Johnson said things are so bad with this car tomorrow, this winged car, that NASCAR needs to sit down with some crew chiefs and come up with some solutions to give it more downforce. He says you just can't drive it in traffic. He did say that he'd made some gains since the last couple of races because he looked terrible at Las Vegas after looking fairly well at California. I asked Jim Hunter about that, the NASCAR PR guy, the NASCAR communications specialist, the NASCAR guy who's been around for 40 years and knows this sport like the back of his hand. He said, don't think so. Not for a couple months. Let's see some more races first. Charlotte, of course, is the next one, the next big 1.5-mile track. Right now, Carl Edwards has them covered really bad. We'll have to see what they can do at Charlotte when they start testing there. That's the report. From Texas Motor Speedway, Sunday night, Carl Edwards beating Jimmie Johnson and Kyle Busch. Mulhern for the Winston-Salem Journal and JournalNow.com.